Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are cooking potatoes. But we're not just going to do a regular baked potato today, we're going to do a double baked shrimp and onion baked potato. Okay, now what we're going to do first, we're going to thoroughly rinse these potatoes. And what this does is it cleans the outside skin and it makes sure there's no dirt or germs or anything like that that could possibly contaminate the skin or get you sick. And it doesn't take a lot to get these rinsed off. Just make sure you give it a good hand scrub, just a once over, and that should be good enough. After you rinse off your potatoes, what you're going to do is you're going to take a paper towel and you're going to dry the surface of each one. What this is going to do, it makes sure that your seasoning you put on the outside is going to stick. And the seasoning we're going to be using today is going to be olive oil, salt, and pepper on the outside. Now when it comes to the olive oil, it doesn't take much, just a little drizzle on each one. And what this is going to do, it's going to let your seasoning stick, and it's going to give that outside a nice crust. Because with this baked potato, you're going to be able to eat the entire thing, the outside, the inside, the skin, and all. And we'll give them all just a really good coating. And it doesn't take much, like I said, just a little bit. You're going to wipe your hands off. And we're going to take a little bit of salt, sea salt, kosher salt, whatever you like to use, and we're just going to throw some on each side. We're going to turn each one and flip them, and salt the other side. Give them another good rub down, and make sure that the salt coats on that skin evenly. Now that we've got our salt on there, we're going to take some freshly ground black pepper. We're just going to coat both sides a little lightly. It doesn't have to be much. Give them a turn, and go ahead and do the other side after that. At this point, what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to preheat your oven to about 350 to 375, and you're going to place your potatoes directly on your top rack. And it's going to take about an hour to an hour and a half for them to bake. Now while we're waiting for our potatoes to bake, we're going to go ahead and start heating up our cast iron skillet with a little bit of butter in the bottom of it. I like cooking with cast iron because it holds the heat better and it distributes that heat more evenly once it's ready. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get everything else ready, chopped. That way when it comes to mixing up our mix, we're ready to go. First thing we're going to start out with is an onion. Now what we're going to do, we're going to want to make sure that this is finely chopped. And what I like to do is to go ahead and cut that outside layer off to peel it. Well, after we peel it, we're going to leave the root on because it holds it together while we're mincing this onion. Now that our onion's peeled, we're going to go ahead and make slices all the way down. And you really want to make sure you're using a sharp knife when you do this. What that's going to do is to make sure when you mince, then we're going to start mincing. After we've got it all cut up, we're going to mince it some more. And a few big pieces are not going to hurt anything, Because what we're gonna do to this onion, we're gonna saute this onion along with a little bit of garlic to put it in our mix once we get our potatoes baked. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bust up a few cloves of garlic. Go ahead and get them peeled, and then we're gonna mince them, just like we did the onion. This mince needs to be a little bit finer than the onion. What you're gonna do with this, whenever you go to mince it, you're gonna do the exact same thing that you did with the onion. You wanna cut some slits down it. That makes it 10 times easier to mince, plus you get smaller pieces. And you don't have to sit there and fidget with it all day just to get those small pieces. And you're gonna go ahead and do this with all of these. The next ingredient we're gonna get ready is our parsley. I like to use fresh parsley when it comes to this. And what we're gonna do, cut the stems off. You can toss them in the trash. Get it all in a good pile. And just start mincing. Now that our parsley is all cut up and ready to go, we're gonna go ahead and set it off to the side. And we're not going to use all of this parsley in this recipe. I like to go ahead and pre-cut things, especially if I cut too much up, like I did with this parsley and the onions this time. But I'm gonna put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the fridge, and I'm gonna use it again one day this week. The last thing we're gonna get ready before we start cooking our shrimp is our cheese. Now I've pre-bought shredded cheddar cheese, and then I've got a block of Colby Jack. And I like Colby Jack because it's got the white and yellow cheeses in it, and to me it melts a little bit better than most cheeses. Now we're preparing our shrimp. We've put in a little bit of olive oil in the pan, and we've gone ahead and salt and peppered our shrimp. Now, as you can see, they're starting to turn pink around the tails. When this side starts to turn pink, you know they're ready to flip. And we're just gonna go ahead and cook these on both sides. It's gonna take about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes per side. And after we do that, we're gonna throw in some butter, a little bit of that garlic we minced up earlier, and we'll be good to go on our shrimp. As you can see, our shrimp's starting to turn pink, so I'm ready to go ahead and start flipping them. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in our butter now. It's gonna create a good base for the shrimp. We're gonna toss in a little bit of our garlic. And some white wine. Just enough to really deglaze the bottom of that pan. That's where all your flavor is at the bottom of these cast iron skillets. And we're just gonna let all this butter melt in and let that garlic start to brown. It's gonna make us a nice sauce for our shrimp. That way it soaks all that juice up. This mixture just smells delicious. Between the garlic and your shrimp and everything mixing in, it smells great. And you're gonna let this wine reduce down just a little bit. Once it's reduced, we'll add a little bit of lemon and our shrimp will be cooked. And all we're waiting for after that is the potatoes. All right, our shrimp's done. We're gonna go ahead and add in our lemon juice. We're gonna turn off our heat. Put in this lemon juice here. And get it off the heat. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and saute our onions and our garlic. We're gonna turn our heat back on. We're gonna use the same pan, we wiped it out. A little bit of olive oil at the bottom. Make sure it's well coated. We're gonna go ahead and let our oil heat up for a minute. And as soon as it's heated up, we'll toss in our onions and our garlic. Added in our garlic and our onion. Swish it around a lot to get it covered in that oil, so that way it all browns at about the same pace. We're going to mix it up really well. Our onions are just about ready. You can see they've really got that opaque color to them now, and there's a lot of brown crust around the edges. Shouldn't be, but just a couple more minutes and they'll be ready to pull off. We'll put them in a bowl off to the side, and then we'll start getting our shrimp ready. All right, well now what we're gonna do, we're gonna detail these shrimp and we're gonna go ahead and cut them up into pieces. That way, when we make them into our mix, they'll be ready to go. All we gotta do is mix everything up and put it back inside the potatoes to be double baked. Now when you're detailing these, the easiest way to do it is to grab right here at the base where the shell begins, right here where the tail starts. You squeeze and just pull and it slides right off, and you still have that chunk of meat right there. We're gonna go ahead and get the rest of these detailed, and then we'll cut them up. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these shrimp and we're gonna cut them into little bite-sized pieces because they're gonna go inside of the potato. Doesn't have to be slices, it can be just little chunks. And what we're gonna do is we'll throw them in a bowl off to the side. And once our potatoes are baked, we're gonna make our mix. Our mix is gonna consist of the inside part or portion of the potato, our sauteed onions and garlic, our parsley, and some of our cheese. Now when it comes to the size of your chunks, it really doesn't matter, just as long as there's chunks. You don't want a whole shrimp in there. Some people do like whole shrimps in their potatoes, but I like a nice little bite. All right, our shrimp is cut up and we're gonna go ahead and set it off to the side for now. We're gonna dump our onions and our parsley inside of our mix and some cheese, and we're gonna wait for our potatoes to get done. Once our potatoes are done, we'll get back at it and we'll go ahead and make our mix. All right, so now our potato is baked, it's ready, and how you know that is if you can put a knife through it, it's super easy, like putting it in butter, your potato is baked. But first, to start, we're gonna carve off the top. I'm gonna use a clean paper towel to handle this potato because it's still kind of hot. It's fresh out of the oven. And you just want to cut that top layer off. Set it off to the side for now. Take you a spoon, get your mixture, and go ahead and start to scoop all of that potato out. Toss it in the bowl. Try your best not to tear the skin, but also get as close to it as possible and get all of that potato out. And whatever you do, don't forget about this part. This part still has potato in it. Now what I like to do with this piece of the skin is I'll take it and I'll stick it down inside of our big skin. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna make your mixture poke more out of the top, and it's a better appearance, plus it adds a double layer of crunch to that bottom. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these ready, and I will come back when I do my mixture. Now for our mix, we're gonna use half a stick of butter, and we've already got our shrimp, our onions, our garlic, and our parsley inside of this mix. So we've got our potatoes, we've got our butter. We're gonna use about a half a cup of evaporated milk. That's gonna add a really creamy texture to our potatoes, and 1 egg. We're just gonna mix. Get everything mixed in thoroughly. We also added some cheese squares from our Colby Jack bar because I didn't think there was enough cheese, and it gives it that little pop of cheese whenever you bite into it. So we're gonna get it mixed up. and get it scooped in. All right, we're gonna take our potatoes, get us a few scoops of this goodness. Just put it on down in there. And we're gonna have a lot of mixture left. So we're gonna have to find something else to do with it sometime this week. And you can pile it up on there a little bit. Get it good and rounded. And you see how creamy it is. And you can really see how creamy the inside of this potato is. You can see your little bits of shrimp and everything in it as well. But now we've got it topped off. We'll set it to the side, move on to the next one. And what you're gonna do now that our potatoes are ready, you're gonna take you a fork and just kind of divot around on each one of them. That's just gonna add a nice texture at the top. We're gonna put them on a baking sheet. We're gonna throw them back in the oven for about 15 minutes. Now while we're waiting for this 15 minutes for our potatoes to finish baking, we're gonna go ahead and cut up some chives to be as a topping. And while those potatoes are baking, it's making sure that that egg is thoroughly cooked inside. The cheese will be nice and melted, and the top should be nice and crispy. And if it's not, we'll run it through the boiler one time, and it'll be ready to go. Here's our chopped chives. We're gonna go ahead and wait for those potatoes to get done baking, and then we'll serve them up. Guys, we have our finished product here, and it smells amazing. It is a double-baked shrimp, onion, and garlic loaded baked potato, and I'm ready to dig in. Well, first we're gonna cut it open and see what it looks like. And you can really see all of the shrimp in there and all your different colors. But that part doesn't really matter. Let's see how it tastes. It's really not bad. It's actually really good. It could use a little bit more butter, but it's not bad at all. After I added more butter and salt and pepper, I think this is probably the best baked potato I've ever had. The only thing is missing is sour cream, which, me being me, I thought I had some and completely forgot that I threw it out. But it's still really good. I'm not a big baked potato fan myself. I'm just not a big fan of potatoes in general, but I really enjoy this. And I'm gonna post all the ingredients down in the description below. And I don't really follow recipes. I kind of just season to taste and eyeball everything, which sometimes ends in disaster, like with the giant pan of potato mix I have cooking in my skillet in the oven right now. But anyway, as always, I really appreciate y'all for watching my videos and giving feedback on them and all. I know it's really early on in this channel, and I hope that I'm able to cook like this and make videos for a long time, even if it doesn't go anywhere. It might not, it might, I don't care. I'm doing this because I enjoy cooking. But I'm so grateful for all the feedback and all the people that have shown love toward it. Thank you guys, I really do appreciate it. But anyway, I will see you all in the next video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Y'all take care.